Hey, so another backtesting session today. We'll go over a quick recap of some of my trades this current week that we're on. It's currently Thursday, and I'll go through a couple of the trades this week. So today, I had a Euro CHF sell. Price came up here to this resistance area, started to reject in the 1 hour, and after it started to reject, I entered a sell. So after the sell, it started coming down, went to the profit target. It's a 1 to 1.25. Stop loss was just above the zone. It was a pretty quick trade. It only took like 2 hours or an hour and a half. I'm looking right now for a GBP New Zealand dollar sell, just waiting for us to push back up here into the zone. I missed the entry yesterday, otherwise I'd be in. And GBP JPY, I thought that we were going to bounce here yesterday, but we didn't bounce through. We ended up just continuing above. So I ended up not taking GBP JPY for sells. I wasn't convinced that this was enough rejection in here to start bouncing. Later in the day, we did have GBP JPY fall and started finding some support and tried to go back up. So this morning, I set an alert just below the lows for when we break them. We broke the lows. Now, since we've broken the lows, I'm waiting for us to pull back up here a little bit deeper into the zone, literally like 5-6 pips further. And then I'll be entering GBP JPY if we get some rejection right there. This just kind of like, it'll also kind of add up. It'll be in like a set of lower highs right here. So a little bit better of an entry. The trade will likely look something like this right here. Stop loss just above the zone, target like right here, and this will be GJ. So for the rest of the trades, I was looking at 80 New Zealand dollar this morning. For some reason I didn't enter. I thought that this might end up being the zone up here, where it kind of like tested and bounced. Now it's broken below, finding resistance. So I ended up leaving this alone. It was just a discretionary decision. It looked better on the H4, but then again, you don't even have to use the H4. You can just use the H1. It had tested really far deep into the zone. Now that we're having a nice move up right here, I think what I'll do is I'll set an alert back here. We'll probably be holding this area as support. And if we come back, I'll probably enter there. So there's also 80 Canadian dollar. I took this trade last night. This one stopped out this morning. Ended up coming right back up. USD JPY yesterday as well. I took 2 trades on UJ this week. This first one here, I went to the profit target. It was a break or retest of this level. And then I had this next one yesterday, which broke, retest, rejected. Went sideways for like 3 hours. Ended up stopping out later in the day. Euro USD is a bounce of the major zone right here. So we had a nice bounce here in the past. We came back, started to reject yesterday. So I entered a sell after we rejected this area. The entry should have been down here, but by the time I was able to figure out the lot size and look at it and enter, I got triggered further up here whenever I entered. But the entry should have been right there. If it came to the zone, started pinning it with a wig. Still a winning trade though. Nothing here on Euro GBP. This was from last week. I've had a win, then I've had a partial loss on Euro GBP. I was trying to trade a bounce of this zone. I guess it wasn't the clearest zone, but even then, I mean, it still looked like it came up and respected as resistance here in the future earlier this week. So, I don't know. It just, yeah. Whatever. Can't win them all. New Zealand dollar CAD waiting on a sell. I don't know if it's going to set up. GBP CHF, this was a beautiful trade. However, I missed it. I was asleep and it happened during London session. Euro New Zealand dollar, I took this trade as well. The first one this week played out really nice. It's just a bounce of support. Clear support zone, came into it, rejected, hit the target. There's another one that came here, rejected the zone. I wasn't able to get an entry right here, so I just set a buy limit, and then it came back to the buy limit, triggered, started to bounce. Then it pinned the stop and then pushed back up, and this all happened overnight during London session when I was asleep, so kind of sucked. I took 2 trades on CAD CHF and CAD JPY, or I took a trade each on CAD CHF, CAD JPY. So CAD CHF, I ended up closing early, like almost, it was like a 40% winner instead of a 50% winner. It was just a bounce of support. I should have held on to it. I really had no reason to close early. It's just we had come back to the entry like 1, 2, 3. Then we finally cracked a higher high, so I just closed it right there. It did come back to the entry again and then went up, so it ended up working out. CAD JPY, this one was the same situation. I closed it at the same time I closed CAD CHF. Was a break, retest, started to bounce, went up and back and up and back over and over again. So when I got to the highs, I closed it. This was like a 45% winner on that account. So still good trades. It's just, you know, whatever. So GBP AUD, here's another good one. This one came up here to the resistance, rejected it. The resistance is just right here. However, price was like down below the zone after it rejected, so I just decided that if it comes back into the zone, the previous high, I'll just enter there. So it did. I got the alert. I clicked into the entry, and then it ended up going sideways for the rest of the day, broke past the lows, and then ended up continuing to the target later that night. So GBP AUD was nice. AUD USD, I don't know if this was from last week or this week, April 11th. So it was from this week. I ended up closing this one. I really had no reason to close it, but I ended up closing it early. For some reason, I thought like maybe I didn't have the zone right or something. The zone looks fine. I mean, it was previous resistance twice, came back, tested, and started to bounce. I really had no reason to close this trade. I guess I made a mistake when I was doing this, but yeah, I thought it was gonna go and rip below the zone and stop out. So I closed it right here. And if you look right here, like, I mean, that looks like it's like about to just rip downward. So I didn't want to take the full 40% loss. This was like a 15% loss. I ended up going down, ended up pushing up. So that was that on AU. Nothing on ADCHF. Had a trade last week. I got out in small profits of. Would have worked, but I closed early. Already went over this. This was like over a week ago. Euro ED, Euro CAD, EJ, GBP CAD. These both were from last week. GU nothing, NZD CHF, JPY, NU, USD CHF, USD CAD. So there was nothing on USD CAD this week, but there was something on USD CHF, and this is the last trade. It was this resistance zone here. So price pushed up into this resistance zone, started to reject. After that first rejection pin, I entered the sell, and then literally within like less than 3 hours, it went and hit the profit target. This was an easy trade. It was kind of like US or Euro CHF this morning, how I just entered after the rejection, and then on the way down, it just quickly crashed to the profit target. I guess I can probably move that off right now. But yeah, so it's been a great trading week. There's been a couple, there's been what, like 2 or 3 losses. There's been some that were partial losses. I think there was one that was a partial loss, AU. And there's been plenty of winners, so it's been a great trading week so far as usual. Just some wins and losses as usual. More wins this week than losses, but because there's been a lot of winners. There's like a lot of winners this week and last week. So yeah, anyway, so that kind of like sums up this week. I don't know if there may be more trades, whatever, but we'll see what happens. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the backtesting session. So I'll go to random.org here. We'll pick a number between 1 and 10. 3. So let's do 1, 2, 3. So Euro CHF. So let's go here to Euro CHF. Let's do an FXCM chart. And let's scroll back to the count of 6. So drag this over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we're here in November of 2020. So I'm just going to trade as I normally would. I'm not going to rush setups on here. Like I said, keep in mind, like you're going to be able to grow an account to 10x within 30 days if you're trading multiple pairs. This is so much easier to do like live in real time. So if you can do this profitably in back testing, you should have no problem doing it live. You have so much more time to think. And back testing, it can be like all over the place. So let's start with 500. 500, and so yeah, so we pushed above the resistance zone. There was no rejection there. Well, let's see if we're at a current resistance zone. Sorry. Yeah, nothing over here. Look at how crazy all this is. Yeah, nothing really reliable. Let's just wait. So this zone is starting to be formed as resistance now. So we can draw this up in here. I wouldn't have touched this zone just based off that, but now that we had found resistance a couple times, having some nice moves off of it, this right here would have been nice. So let's see, the first push into the zone with rejection was right here. Stop loss would have gone above the zone. Take profit of a 1 to 1.25. So this one took a while but hit the target. So that's good. So 500 times 1.5. This is a 500 to 5K challenge. So we're at 750. Let's see if there's another setup. There we go. So we've had a nice move off the zone, and then we've come back into it. Again, I don't like taking trades where it does stuff like this, where it's just barely popping and then coming back 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But as long as we've had a nice move off the zone, it's either going to reject the zone or it's going to reject or respect. It's either going to bounce off the zone or it's not. So don't overthink it. Just enter the trades and just let them play out. You never know what's going to happen. You just have to take trades that make sense. So this one stopped out. So we'll do 750 times 0.6 for a 40% loss. 450. Here, so we got up here into this next zone we were at. So it was this previous high up here. So we rejected this zone. The entry could have been either one of these candles. That first one is perfectly fine right there to enter. What you could have done is you could have done things like what I said this week with my trades, which is the Euro CHF trade where it pins the zone and then it's already rejected, but you want entry at the zone. So you just wait for it to come up into the zone, then you enter as soon as it's there. But let's just say, we didn't do that. Let's say you don't have time to look at it. So stop needs to go above the zone and target goes at a 1 to 1.25. So in this case, yeah, that's above the previous high. So really right there is fine. So that's a perfectly fine stop loss. So yeah, this one, yeah, was a fine trade. Met all the rules. So 450 times 1.5, 675. Let's see if we can get another bounce off this support down here. We need some compelling rejection. So that's fine right there, that little push up. So pushed up from there, stop below the zone, and a target at 1 to 1.25. %40 loss, so we're at 400. So we're kind of bopping back and forth around the starting balance. Let's see how it goes. This right here looks like a pretty decent zone, especially after we had that first bounce and we had a second bounce. Let's do an entry there with a stop just under the zone and TP right there. So it looks like it's worth a shot. All right, so now we've had this one hit the profit target. We also have another trade just set up right here. Make sure to extend this zone a little bit higher. So 600, so we're kind of trucking along. This right here, a good test and rejection here into this zone would have been right there. This first one, by the time it would have come up to the zone, rejected and closed down there, your entry, that wouldn't have made sense. Your stop would have had to have gone all the way up here. TP, you don't really want it past that zone because it's more likely to bounce right there. But when it came up here, hit this area and rejected, that's good. So it gives you a little bit more room to have your stop a little bit further out. And you can still have a nice, reasonable profit target. So that one went and perfectly nailed the profit target. Then it had a huge rejection back up. So we're doing times 1.5. So sitting at 911 right now. So let's see what we get. So we did have a break and a retest here of this zone. So break, retest. Actually, with that little bounce right there, that first candle would have been fine to enter. We came, we hit it, we bounced. And if you didn't want to enter right there, the second candle bouncing up, that's really like I mean, that's really like clear that, hey, we're like rejecting this zone and quickly pushing up. So going to entry there, stop loss just under the zone, and a target at a 1 to 1.25. This one would have been a quick trade, just like my Euro CHF trade today. This one would have taken 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. My trade today took like less than 2. So 1366. All right, let's see what else we get. Here we go, another entry, perfect. So we've had a nice push off the zone. We came back, tested and had a hard bounce with a really bullish candle closure. So right there would have been the entry. Stop loss still goes underneath the zone. Target of a 1 to 1.25, and this would have already hit as well. Yeah, see, every now and then you'll run into a string of winners where you have a really nice zones that get respected. So in our case, it just bounced as support, it bounced as resistance, broke above, bounced as support, bounced as support. I'm just kind of running through all these real quick here. You guys already know the trading rules. You already know how everything works. I'm not going to sit here and explain everything like I did in the first videos. In the first videos, when I would make, these are like 1 hour long or more backtesting session videos, that's where like I really go into the depth of it. But you guys already know like how this works. You guys, you know, it's just a matter of just seeing the setups over and over again and just taking all the trades and letting the stats play out. There we go. So yeah, I'm sorry this keeps going so fast. Again, I'd have to click candle by candle by candle in order for this to like play out. So it pushed right here, rejected. That first rejection is technically fine because it technically came into the zone and then it technically closed bearish. We'd want to distance our stop loss just above the zone, not too far but not too close either. This one would have worked out really easily. It's the benefit of using clear zones is whenever you're using the clear zones, you'll run into these winning streaks, which are nice. 2050 times 1.5, so we're at 3K now, so we're almost to the target. So this right here, we've had a straight bear run into this zone. We do technically have rejection, but let's see if we get a little bit more rejection, because it looks like this is like a huge bearish run. Like, I mean, it looks like we're going to be like smashing through this zone. So let's play it out a little bit further. All right, well that's technically good rejection. I think it's worth a shot. That first candle right here, you might have been jumping the gun a little bit, because like I said, it's just bear candle, bear candle, bear candle, bear candle with a tiny wick. That's not super convincing, but this next one, this push up closure right there, that one's perfectly fine. So we'll see if this one plays out. So it looks like it pushed up, came back to test the zone, and then bounced up again. So I don't know, it still worked out. And even if you're just following the rules, that first candle, I guess, you know, that one still would have worked out too. Sometimes whenever price does stuff like this, you need to start like, you need to use a little bit of logic, like, hey, you know, it's technically a zone, but, you know, look at this candle right there, like that huge bullish candle closing really high up into the zone with barely a wick on top. You know, is that really the trade I want to be getting involved in? You know, and a lot of times the answer is probably going to be like, no, probably should just sit that one out. So we're at a 50% winner, so 4,600. So we need one more trade to win. So here we go, another bounce. So we've had a nice move away from the support, and then it came all the way back. That first entry there, I don't think that would be as good. You got to keep in mind the lows of this support zone are all down in here. So the first one that pushed all the way down in here, pushed here, and then pushed up right there and closed. So that right there would be like a nice little bullish candle to enter off of. So stop just below the zone and a target of 1 to 1.25. And we'll see what happens with this one. Be bum if it loses, because then we'd have to win like I think 2 more trades to get back to the profit target. So yeah, so it spiked up, went to this previous, looks like to this high right here, then rejected. So yep, this one ended up working out, and that's cool. That's the cool thing about having these quick profit targets, is because like things like this happen where it hits the profit target and then it comes back. hits the profit target, comes back, hits the profit target. This one ended up going. This one hit the profit target, came back, hit the profit target, came back. So these are like trades where yeah, I don't know, but you pretty much would just play this whole range on your CHF. This was pretty cool. So this is from the 16th of November to December 4th. So about whatever, 2-3 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. 500 to how much does it end up being? It's going to be way over 5K. So 5K to 6,900, so that's not bad. So yeah, that's cool. There's another backtest session for you guys. As a side note, I've been doing a lot of one-on-one sessions with you all. You know, if you book your one-on-one session with the link at the end of the program, or the link at the end of this course, you guys are doing really good, and I'm personally surprised. I thought I didn't expect people to be doing this well, but most people that I'm talking to are making a lot of progress. There are a number of you who are struggling with certain things. The thing that I found that everyone struggles, not everyone, but the things that I found that a lot of people are struggling with the most is constructing the support resistance zones. So on almost all of my one-on-one mentorship sessions that I've been doing with you guys, it's been like a good chunk of the call, like half the call or more, is just spent like working together to construct like support resistance zones. Because when you think about it, it's kind of the most important part, because with this system, you would like a high win rate to be able to get to the profit target quickly. The losers is what makes it annoying. The consecutive winners is what allows you to compound real quickly. So with the high win rate, it all comes down to where is price most likely to bounce at, right? And it's most likely to bounce at like the clear support resistance zones. So that's what we've been working on most. Most people are fine with the rejection. The rejection is not really that hard of a thing for me or for most people. It's just, price gets to the zone, rejects it. Price gets to a zone, rejects it. So for most people, the rejection is not really hard. It's pretty straightforward. It's like it gets there, and if it shows any type of indication that it's just going to be rejecting the zone and trying to push away, then you just enter the trade and you're fine. So most people are good with that. Most people are good with like placing the trade, doing the 40% risk on that account for 50% gain, using multiple accounts, using the position size calculator on the MyFX book, position size calculator I showed you guys in the course. Most people are good with everything. It's just the zones. People need to be more likely to use zones that are better. You don't want to be using a zone like this in here, where there's there's price spiking through it over and over again, back and forth. It's wig-wagging around the zone. It doesn't, it's not clear. You want to be using zones like this, where it's just, where it's easy. Like price just comes to the lows, and then it bounces once, and it bounces a second time, and you enter. So the zones are the most important part, because if you draw zones where price is really likely to just bounce there anyway, then if you just enter trades as soon as it gets there, you'll probably still be fine for the most part. But then if you wait for it to get there and then also reject that really clear zone, now you've just turned the dial on your win rate up to a little bit higher. So now you're probably going to win even more trades. And then if it actually starts moving to your profit target, like shortly after you enter, and doesn't start ranging, then you're even more likely to hit the profit target. So yeah, it's a great system. You guys are doing a lot better than I thought, so y'all should pat yourselves on the back for that. And even the ones of you who are kind of struggling, I've worked with you all on one-on-one sessions and cleared up a lot of stuff. It's like night and day for some of you. You hop on a one-on-one session and everything is just nice, and then you have like these aha moments, like, oh shit, I didn't know I was supposed to be drawing my zones like that, and so it's really good. So I appreciate you guys working hard to learn this stuff. This stuff is life-changing. It really is crazy. It's crazy to be like, you could take a lot of your accounts and compound them real quickly. It more than justifies the price of this course. I've priced this course really cheap compared to how much money you can make with it. And it's so simple and straightforward. You don't have to do a million things. It's just a very simple trading system with a very simple risk management structure. And yeah, so in this case, a $500 account to $6,900 in a little over 2 weeks. And this is cool because if you remember the last two videos, where I started $500 challenges, like I blew them both pretty much. Like one of them was like ended up around break even. The other one like I blew to like it was like like $100, 500 to 100. So you would have lost whatever like 900 or 1,000 throughout all that. But then you have like an account like this where you grow it to like almost 7 grand in 2 weeks. That's like it's cool to go through the ups and downs. Just keep in mind like you should expect to blow about half your accounts. So you should expect to hit the profit target with the other half of your accounts. Just let it all play out. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't try to overanalyze it and try to get too far into the weeds. Just wait for price to come to the major zones, wait for it to reject, and just place the trade and let it play out. Like it's either gonna win or lose. There's no reason for you to sit there and watch it all day. There's no reason for you to stress out over it. There's no reason for you to like worry like maybe I should get out right now or this and that. It's like just leave it alone. Just wait for all the trading rules to set up. Calculate your lot size based on your account, like 40% risk, 50% gain. Set the risk reward, your profit target, stop loss, and just let it play out. It's all good, you know? You don't even have to use the active trade management that I covered in the course. A lot of you guys just prefer to be entering like with a tighter stop loss and a quicker profit target and with no trade management because you generally get stopped out or you get your profit target hit way quicker. Either one of those scenarios just happens way quicker with a tighter stop. And also, you don't have to even look at it. Like you literally don't even have to watch it or monitor it. Is it going to break the zone? Is it going to come back? Like, you just, you don't have to do anything. You pretty much set it and forget it. So a lot of y'all have been doing that. So that's why I've been doing more of these backtesting videos like this. So now you thought the system was simple when you started the program, but now it's even simpler. Like, if you just don't use active trade management, just tighten up your stop loss, instead of like having it far, tighten it up to just on the other side of a zone. And then, yeah, you're golden. Anyway, that's it for this video. See you guys in the next video. Cheers.